In Module 9, you learned how to add accidentals to pitches in order to create the major scale. You probably noticed that some scales have more accidentals than others. It can be tedious to write out all of those accidentals all of the time, so musicians developed a shorthand system to tell the performer what accidentals to use in a section or an entire piece of music: key signatures. A key signature is an arrangement of all of the necessary accidentals for a section or piece of music. The key signature always appears at the beginning of the staff, after the clef, but before the meter signature. A good way to remember the order of clef, key, and meter is to think about how the first letter of each of those terms, clef, key, and meter, appear in the alphabet. C comes before K, and K comes before M. Key signatures either contain all sharps or all flats. There are no key signatures that contain both sharps and flats. Let's look at how to construct major key signatures. C major has no accidentals because it uses only all white notes on the piano. Therefore, the key signature of C major is blank. We can start adding one sharp at a time to our key signature. The major key that has only one sharp, F sharp, is G major. If we place a sharp on the F line of the staff, this represents the key of G major. When you look at a key signature made of sharps, you can determine the tonic of the key, that is, the name of the key, by looking at the last sharp in the key signature. The last sharp is the leading tone of the scale, or T. That means you can determine the tonic by thinking up one semitone, from T to Do. The last and only sharp in this key signature is F sharp. Here is F sharp on the keyboard. If F sharp is T, and we think up one semitone to Do, we get to the tonic pitch of G. The name of this key is G major. This key signature has 7 sharps. To determine the name of the key, look at the last sharp, B sharp, and think of it as the leading tone. Here is B sharp on the piano. If B sharp is T, then we think up one semitone to get to Do of the scale. Up one semitone is C sharp. When we think from T to Do, we must always remember to think up to the next letter in the musical alphabet. In this case, some kind of B steps up to some kind of C. Do not make the mistake of skipping a letter in the musical alphabet and saying that B sharp is the leading tone in D flat. This key signature represents the scale of C sharp major. The sharps are added to the staff in the order of F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, E sharp, and B sharp. Each new sharp is one perfect fifth higher than the last sharp. C sharp is a perfect fifth higher than F sharp. G sharp is a perfect fifth higher than C sharp, etc. You can remember the order in which you place sharps on the staff by using this mnemonic device. Fat cats go down alleys eating bagels. The sharps are placed in a very specific way on the staff for each clef. On the treble clef, the first sharp is placed on the top line. You add sharps in the order of down, up, down, down, up, down. On the bass clef, the first sharp is placed on the fourth line, and the same pattern of down, up, down, down, up, down is replicated from the treble clef. The same pattern also works on the alto clef, except the first sharp is placed on the top space. The placement changes on the tenor clef. Here you start on the second line and then stagger the sharps up, down, up, down, up, down. Now let's look at all of the major scales that have flats in their key signatures. The key with only one flat is F major. The one flat is B flat. You just have to memorize that the key signature with one flat is F major. Flats are added to the staff in the order of B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, C flat, and F flat. Note that this is the reverse of the order of sharps. So each new flat is a perfect fifth lower than the previous flat. You can remember the order in which you place flats on the staff by using the mnemonic device, "Before eating a donut, get coffee first." When you look at a key signature made of flats, you can determine the name of the key by looking at the penultimate flat. This flat is the tonic of the key. This key signature has 7 flats. The penultimate flat is C flat. That means that the tonic of this key is C flat, and this key signature represents C flat major. Flat key signatures also have a specific placement on the staff, but remembering the order is a little easier than the sharps. No matter what the clef, you always start with B flat, then you add the remaining flats in the order of up, down, up, down, up, down. Musicians have created a visual representation of key signatures that relates each key to a placement around a musical clock. It is called the circle of fifths. At 12 o'clock is the key of C major, with no sharps or flats. As you move clockwise around the clock, the tonic of each scale moves up a perfect fifth. So at 1 o'clock is the key of G major. G is a perfect fifth higher than C. Eventually, if you move up a perfect fifth enough times, 12 to be exact, you get back to C major. If you move around the clock counterclockwise, the tonic of each key moves down by perfect fourth. Note that at 5, 6, and 7 o'clock, there are 2 key signatures listed. These key signatures are enharmonic equivalents. They use the same pitches on the piano, but are notated differently on the staff. You can also see that if you move clockwise, you get the order of sharps, and if you move counterclockwise, you get the order of flats. In a future module, we'll add minor key signatures to the circle as well. This single diagram includes a lot of useful information. All of your knowledge of music theory has led to this moment, the moment when you learn about key signatures. You would not understand the details and logic that go into labeling and identifying key signatures without your previous knowledge of pitch, clefs, intervals, accidentals, and diatonic scales. You must be able to identify and write each major key signature with minimal thought. Practice key signature identification. Be aware of all the key signatures in your music as you practice. You must understand major key signatures before you can identify minor key signatures or understand the relationship between the major and minor modes.